sort of future Ballon d'Or winner. Now, the move to Atletico didn't really work out for him. He went on loan to Chelsea 18 months ago. Last season, he was on loan at Barcelona. Doesn't have a great relationship with the head coach there, Diego Simeone. So it was up to his agent, Jorge Mendes, to find him a new club. And if you need a new club, Jorge Mendes is a pretty good guy to have on your side. And Jorge Mendes appears to have done a very good deal for him to get him a move to Chelsea. I think he probably will have to take a wage cut to play for Chelsea, because I know he was on big money. I don't know for a fact, but obviously we know that Chelsea's new policy regarding wages is much more sensible than it has been in the past.
OK, so he's coming in the door. That means that Conor Gallagher is flying out the door, quite literally.
Yes, I don't want to go through the whole Conor Gallagher saga. I'm sure everybody knows what's been happening, on, off. Basically, what he was waiting for in London was this Joao Felix deal to be completed.
Yes.
And once that was done, he could fly back to Madrid. We believe he's going to fly back to Madrid this evening. He signed the contract. He's passed the medical. I think the contract is 5 years. The deal is worth around £36 million. Now, I know Chelsea supporters upset, disappointed that he's leaving. He's Chelsea through and through. He's been at the club since he was 8. He was captain for a lot of games last season as well. But I think from Chelsea's point of view, they have a lot of other players in his position, and this is a great move for him. He's moving to a club who are in the Champions League, one of the biggest clubs in Europe. So I know there's a little bit of doom and gloom surrounding Conor Gallagher. But on the other hand, what a move for him to go and play in La Liga under a head coach like Diego Simeone.
OK, in terms of players still coming in the door, you're expecting another one in at Chelsea?
I think Chelsea are still in the market to sign another number 9. A lot of Chelsea fans are saying that's what we need. Look at the game against City on Sunday. They had Haaland. We don't have somebody with his presence and goal scoring ability and his physicality. Obviously, you can't buy another Haaland because he is unique. But Chelsea are looking for another number 9. Now, there's been lots of talk about Victor Osimhen. Everybody knows his situation. We don't need to go into it again, what's happened to him at Napoli. He's been linked with a move to Chelsea or PSG. Now, could he go to Chelsea? I think the only way he could go to Chelsea would be on loan, because his transfer fee is going to be over £100 million. He's on big wages. Chelsea are not going to pay those wages, and they're not going to pay that big a transfer fee. So it could potentially happen on loan. But what we know is Napoli don't want to do a no loan deal. And the player and his representatives don't want a loan deal either. So something has to give there if he's going to go to Stamford Bridge. Could he go to PSG? At the moment, today, we're being told that PSG are not actively trying to sign him. They did look at him. They held talks about signing him earlier this summer. But I think the numbers being quoted were too big for them, so they moved on to other targets.
All right. A lot has been said about the length of contracts that Chelsea are giving out. And we have got a lovely graphic that demonstrates that precisely. There we are. Chelsea players in total, the squad combined, have 191 years. I mean, if that was a lease on a house, you'd be absolutely delighted, wouldn't you? But the next one, the nearest one, is Tottenham with 97. Obviously, they've got a smaller squad as well, that must be said. But 191 years.
I know a lot of people are talking about this graphic, especially on social media this afternoon. What this graphic shows is that the 42 players that Chelsea have on their books at the moment, those 42 players, they have 191 years left on their contracts altogether. That means those 42 players, on average, have 4.5 years left on their contracts. Now, a lot of people looking at this would say, this is shocking, what are Chelsea up to? Now, what I believe Chelsea's position is that Chelsea are proud of the fact that their 42 players have 191 years left on their contracts. The Chelsea owners have pursued a policy of signing players on long-term contracts with relatively low wages by Premier League standards.
They're spreading it out, basically.
Yeah. Look, the average base wage in the Premier League is £72,000 a week. And the players Chelsea have been signing over the past 2 years, their base wage has been below that average. So it's been between 60 and 70,000 pounds a week. Now, these contracts are long-term contracts, but they're also incentivized. That means that Chelsea see these players as an asset and not as a liability. So if you're a Chelsea player and you've got a long-term contract, if you perform and are playing well and you're very productive, you get your salary, you also get huge bonuses.
Okay.
On the other hand, if you're a Chelsea player, you've got a long-term contract and you're not performing,
you're sitting back,
you're not in the team, you're sitting back, all you're getting is your base salary, and that salary is typically around 60 and 70,000 pounds a week.
Which is a terrible salary, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it's a lot, but
yes, but in terms of what,
in terms of what the top players earn, it's not a lot. So I know this looks surprising, it looks shocking, but I think the Chelsea owners would say, we're proud of this. We stand by what we're doing. We believe in this model. The way to go is to give players, young players, long-term contracts on relatively low, sensible wages. The way to go is not to go out there and buy world-class ready-made players on 3 or 4 year contracts on big wages of £300,000-400,000 a week. Because guess what? After 1 season or 2 seasons, they're going to be knocking on your door asking for a new contract and asking for a pay rise. This way, the power is in the hands of the Chelsea owners rather than the players or their agents. And the players are incentivized. Play well, score a lot of goals, prove that you're a great player. Somebody like Cole Palmer, for instance, last week, he signed a new contract. Now, that new contract, I don't exactly know how much it was worth a week, but I know it fits in with Chelsea's new wage policy.
It was 9 years, right?
Yeah, he's contracted to the club until 2033. One of, if not the best young player in England at the moment. Now, Chelsea believe they're offering him and paying him a sensible wage, but if he performs, then he gets more and more and more. So his contract is hugely incentivized. Chelsea's owners believe that is the way to go. They believe in their strategy.
Which works. But when there's a player that you talk about that isn't necessarily incentivized and is on an 8-year deal and he's sat on the bench getting his wage, that doesn't make sense, right?
So what a lot of critics are saying is it is madness to sign all these players and give them, 6, 7, 8 year contracts when you don't know what they're going to be like in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. You don't know if this deal is going to work out. Surely these players are just going to sit back, take the money and say, you know what, I don't care if I'm not playing. I don't care if the manager doesn't fancy me. I'm just going to keep getting my wage. Now, I would agree with that if the players were getting top wages. If they were getting paid £200,000-300,000 a week or more, then you could see why a player does that. But if you are a player and you're getting paid between £60,000 and £70,000 a week, to me and you, that is an incredible sum of money. But to the top players in the Premier League, it's not that much. So I think those players would probably think, especially with wage inflation, that they could go and get a better deal elsewhere and they could play. And it makes it easier for Chelsea to sell them because their wages are pretty low and they have long-term contracts. And also, this also helps Chelsea with PSR and financial fair play because I know the rules have been changed, but Chelsea can spread out the cost of these transfers over a maximum of 5 years, according to Premier League and UEFA rules.
So if you're great at your job, you get a pay rise, you get an incentive. OK, we're going to take a break and go and talk to our bosses. Next, we'll be discussing the rest of the transfer news as Armour Slot closes in.